Imagine a human, not unlike yourself, exhibited in a zoo cage like an animal. This was the harsh reality for Ota Benga, a man from the Mbuti people of Congo, in the year 1906. Born and raised amidst the verdant landscapes of Congo, Ota Benga was part of a vibrant culture, a people known for their deep connection with nature and community. Yet, in a shocking twist of fate, his life took a distressing turn. Captured and taken from his homeland, he was thrust into a world that viewed him not as a fellow human being, but as an object of curiosity. Exhibited amidst the fauna at the Bronx Zoo in New York, Ota Benga became a living testament to the disturbing depths of racial prejudice and exploitation that marked that era. This is the story of Ota Benga, a man whose life was forever marred by exploitation and racial prejudice. Ota Benga's life changed in a sad way when he was caught and sold into a foreign world far from home. Taken from the lush Congo rainforests, he was torn from the Mbuti people, a group that cherished freedom and nature. The early 1900s brought an influx of foreign control over Africa. Traders and explorers, fueled by greed and warped beliefs, saw Ota Benga as a commodity, not a human. His journey to the United States was one of despair. He was regarded as a curiosity, his emotions disregarded. Racial prejudice stole his dignity. As loomed, he was unaware of the tragic fate awaiting him. His was just the start of a sad story that revealed the worst part of human nature. In the heart of New York City, at the Bronx Zoo, Ota became an exhibit. The spectacle was disturbing for visitors who had come expecting to see animals. Instead, they saw a man from Congo treated as a curiosity. He was confined within his life turned into a daily performance. People started to feel uncomfortable, the shocking sight, questioning its morality. Before we delve further into Ota Benga's story, let's take a moment to understand the historical context of racial prejudice in America. In the 17th century, the transatlantic slave trade brought the first African slaves to America. They were treated as property, forced to work under inhumane conditions, and subjected to unimaginable cruelty. Their identities were stripped away, replaced by a dehumanizing system that viewed them as less than human. This was the beginning of a long and painful history of racial prejudice. As centuries passed, the abolition movement emerged, fighting for the fundamental rights of these enslaved people. The Civil War, a bloody conflict driven by the issue of slavery, resulted in the Emancipation Proclamation that declared freedom for all slaves. However, the abolition of slavery did not instantly eradicate the deep-seated racial prejudice that had taken root in society. This historical backdrop sets the stage for understanding the racial prejudice that Ota Benga faced. The cage he was confined in was not just a physical one, but a symbolic representation of the societal cages that held people of color captive. Despite the progress made, the shadows of this dark past lingered, casting its somber hue on the plight of Ota Benga. The pressure mounted, the outrage after a while grew, and finally the unthinkable exhibition was closed. The public outcry led to the closure of the human zoo holding Ota Benga captive. His freedom was a distorted version of his previous life, in a land unknown to him. The cityscape of New York differed greatly from his native Congo. Despite his physical freedom, psychological chains remained. Ota Benga tried to adapt, working, learning English, and assimilating. Memories of his captivity lingered. His freedom was a victory, but a bittersweet one. His story serves as a reminder of the dark chapters of American history and the profound impact of their actions on the lives of others. Imagine looking in the mirror, only to see a stranger staring back at you. This was the reality for Ota Benga when his captors forced him to undergo a cruel and dehumanizing transformation. His teeth, a fundamental part of his identity, were filed down to sharp points resembling that of an animal rather than a human being. This was not a voluntary act of self-expression or cultural tradition. It was a forced distortion of his human form, a physical manifestation of the inhumane treatment he endured. The psychological impact of this transformation was profound. Ota Benga was no longer the man he once was. Unable to cope with the trauma and alienation, Ota Benga's life met a tragic end. He longed for the forests of Congo, the freedom he once had. The constant reminder of his dehumanization, the sharp points of his teeth, a mark of his captivity, only added to his despair. The circumstances leading up to his tragic death are a testament to the lasting effects his traumatic experiences. In 1916, unable to bear the burden of his past and the alienation of his present, Ota Benga took his own life. This story, though heartbreaking, left behind a legacy and a lot of bad historical memories. What do you think about Ota Benga's story? Let me know what do you think in a comment below.